this past year, actually, pretty recently, my dad had cancer, and we didn't really know what was going on at the time, and it was just really weird. We just knew that he had a tumor, and it may or may not be cancerous, and he had to get it out. And while this entire thing was happening, and while he was waiting to go through surgery, I was at school in California. So it was really hard to be away from him and not to be with my family while this was all happening. So I really had to just trust that God would be with them and to be able to get my dad through it. And I was just praying for him a lot, and that was all that I could really do because I wasn't home. And eventually, he had his surgery, and they removed all the cancer, and he's now cancer free. And so that was a really trying time, but God brought everybody through it.
It seems like as I became aware of the power of God in my life, my whole journey, I've been depending on God for one thing or the other. It's hard to choose just one particular event. I can tell you that every time I prepare to preach, I go into the process thinking, okay, I'm going to do my homework, I'm going to read and reflect, but I always seem to have butterflies when I get into the pulpit. And so I just simply say, okay, God, I've done my homework. Now you take it from here. And I just pray that the Lord will give me the words and new thoughts if I haven't included them in my original thought process, and that God will just distribute them to the people to hear as they need to hear. Because preaching is really a sacred time where the Holy Spirit does things that sometimes we don't even expect as preachers. And if it weren't for God and for the power of the Holy Spirit in my life, I don't think I'd ever have become a preacher.
So I remember this one time I was lying in bed, and it was around 12 o'clock in the morning, and I got a call from a friend, and she was saying that our mutual friend was posting all these things on like Twitter or whatever, saying that she was going to end it all that night and just like be completely done. And I was just like, holy crap. So apparently she wasn't responding to her, so I thought I'd try my luck. So I started texting her, and she wasn't responding to me. So I was just like, I gave it all to God in that moment. I was just like, God, just give her the strength to keep holding on and help me help her if she started responding to me, and just, I don't know, just don't let her do this to herself kind of thing. And so eventually she started talking to me, and I was asking her questions about what was going on. I was like, God, please give me the words to speak to her so she can change her mind and just, keep living and not find that that night was the final night. And so we started talking and kind of working out what she was feeling and stuff. And throughout the time, I was praying to God to give me the right words that would speak to her and just help her change her mind. And we were talking for so long, I was starting to get really tired. So I was like, God, give me the endurance to keep talking to her so I wouldn't fall asleep. And then somehow that would be the wrong move. So eventually, with all this praying and just giving her the words that I felt were the right words, I mean, she's still here. So I think we made it through pretty good, and that was pretty crazy, but all about God there.
So when I was 17, I went to a Young Life camp, and when I came back, I kind of, for the first time, kind of ignited my faith. And when I came back, I noticed my friends kind of put me a little bit on the margins because of my newfound faith. And I think I went through about a year or two period where I just couldn't figure out who I fit with. And I think that time really deepened my sense that I had to really develop my relationship and my identity with Christ before I could even figure out my identity with my friends. And it became this pretty sweet time.